Welcome back to my channel, guys. Today I'm reviewing Arweave, and what I do in this channel is I have a model, and this model is from my research. So my research gets put into the model has an output, and over time there is a result on whether or not the output is correct. I reflect and modify the model, and then the outputs will hopefully come to a better correlation of what the actual result is. That is what the objective of this channel is, and that's how it works here. So this is my model, and the project we are reviewing is Arweave. So what does Arweave do? It does permanent data storage, which is, it has an incentive model for persistence of data over time, basically forever, or at least a 200-year time span. But it is a pay once, have data forever model. The biggest customer I see for this would be blockchains, because blockchains will want retrievability of that data into the future. And basically, there's something called archiving bridges, which is going to have Arweave connect to the different blockchains. And the biggest use case the biggest success potentiality for Arweave, in my opinion, and is something called a decentralized permanent multi-chain block explorer. So if you have Arweave and you have this chain data and you have all these different blockchains connected to it, you could create a common user interface, one user interface that would sit on top of it, and it would have access to all the different blockchains and their history, their records. So that could be the biggest use case for Arweave in the future, is if it gets all these blockchains onto its chain data, or in its permanent storage, and then someone builds a user interface that has access to all these blockchains, so that you could access a piece of data and you won't know which blockchain you're getting information from, but you'll have access to all of them. So that would be how I'd see the biggest use case. I'm not going to get too much into how it works. It just uses statistics and mathematics, and it doesn't have to, you don't have to have a complete redundancy, which means each node doesn't have to have the complete picture. It only needs a partial picture, and it uses math to ensure that the data exists within the blockchain. So we have this major problem in blockchains. As size of the blockchain grows, the number of nodes supported goes down, because in blockchains there's a failure to account for this. It's not a good design of blockchains. One of the projects I like is Stato, because they actually do account for this. In the future, an Ethereum client could have a fee on Ethereum plus an Arweave fee, so that you could get charged up front for persistence of data. And I think that would actually hinder a lot of Ethereum's growth, because right now it's subsidized through centralized entities. So we'll see how things like this grow in the future. But what Arweave could do is integrate it into Ethereum, and you could pay for persistence by putting data into Arweave. And it would be far more expensive to do that. All right, so let's jump into the model directly. The model has a neutral stance on future increase in demand for the token. Price FOMO, neutral stance. Once again, you are not early for social media. Regarding the roadmap, the network is live and team are making software upgrades. They have clients like Solana, Avalanche, Cosmos, Moonriver, Celio, and Near. So the timeline, what I did, this is a 2-year timeline. I say just a general statement that you might see some adoption there. So that regarding the timeline, it could be a general adoption from customer base income flow over that time span, if these projects get adopted, and if they have applications that request for that permanent data solution. So that could be a potentiality, but that's what the roadmap is. I put it as neutral because it's more of an abstract reasoning, and there's no specific dates for major upgrades, etc. But it could still be a steady increase in value added. So money needed to move up decreases neutral stance. Token to sell side to decrease neutral stance. There is no PDE expected because of token model on this, so it's not tied to cash flows very well. The token supply distribution is about 50% distributed, and the low inflation is as those 50% come onto the market. So those are all neutral stances. I put that it is not a low cap project. It is circulating 1.7 billion, diluted 2.3 billion. So it's not a super small market cap. It is quite a large project. Recent price action. Okay, so the last year, Regarding the last year for this thing, the price has increased 28%. The average crypto has grown 63%. So it's not seeing anything, no extreme hype from price. So it's not super dangerous to enter if you wanted to enter this project now, because it hasn't gone through an insane hype stage. Regarding exponential growth, the project mainnet was in live June 2018, massive spike on August to 21, and it's been somewhat sideways then, for it's been sideways for about 6 months, and you can get that data here. So I didn't put exponential growth, but it does have a live niche by servicing Solana, Avalanche, Cosmos, Moonriver, Stellio, and Near. So it is servicing these blockchains. So it has a live niche, and it is connected to those possibilities. Okay, so regarding the token use for services, the token utility is to pay for permanent storage, cover clients' needs seamlessly via, like you could have a balance that automatically covers client needs. So you could have ads, subscriptions, and direct as web2. So you basically just need to pay for persistence of data, or even storing web pages, etc. And transaction fees. So that is the use of the token. I put it as a neutral utility. Value of the target market, I put that as neutral as well, because one of the major things that I see with it is that the cost, it costs way more for those who only need temporary storage. And I think that if I'm building an application, or if I'm building something, I'm going to focus on a 10 to 20 year time span, and that it's much cheaper to store for that short period of time. But if I really did want to store it long term, this is the cheaper solution. And so that it would cost less in the long run. I would start to see an ROI on paying up front in the long run. And so those are the dynamics here. And so I'm not sure about the size of that market, because I know that businesses would care, hey, I only care 10 to 20 years. And if that data is valuable, then at those times in the future, before that data is deleted, someone will ensure the cost of that data, because that's the point of it being valuable. If no one values it, it'll disappear, and it can get lost, etc. So you got to think about all these things. But for the most part, businesses are going to care about that 10 to 20 year time span. They're not going to be thinking 20 years out for data storage. So I just put that as neutral. Fees that burn tokens, I put that as neutral, because there is no effect that burns fees. Okay, so regarding the degree of decentralization, I put that it's high. The token, now I couldn't find anything on governance, but the white paper only really mentions voting once about miners selecting supported data. So the miners are in control of which data is supported. Design of the DAO is extremely important when so this is decentralized in the sense that the nodes are in control here. The nodes are the income entities tied to Arweave as income. So that is the design. So the apathy solution, I put it somewhat as a neutral thing for this. Let me see here. So basically, going into the token model, right now, issues get fixed. So there was like these issues that came up with nodes not getting paid for being faster to provide, so they started being slower to provide, and that issue got fixed. I'm not sure if it was because of the team or the node's desire for servicing a market. Like having relevance to the market because they're already set up as income entities. So as of now, it appears that incentives are structured correctly because it did work at fixing the network, at upgrading the network. But here's, I see there's no reason to really hold this token, as a entity that's participating in it, because the buy pressure is canceled out by the sell pressure, because if you are the market demanding the token, the protocol, you create the buy pressure for having access to the system. That income goes to the data provider, which is sell pressure, because they, why would they need to hold the token? They just want their income. So there's a negative force and a positive force, and it neutrals out. So that's two things coming together. Like that I would see. Now, there's two things that paths to increase income as a node. Raise price of token through making token more valuable, or increase income from providing services to the network. So as you can see, I think that, so a node could either be a provider for more entities to get more income, or it could advance the network. by having upgrades. And I think it would be harder for this one to go into effect because it would be an uphill battle. It would be a lot more work, and you want to do less work as possible for income, because if you were to do all this work and make an upgrade, then you have to get the system-wide support from the other nodes, etc. So that could be a potentiality for stagnation regarding that. But as of right now, it looks to be the case that upgrades are going into effect. So that means that governance or the design of the nodes being the caregivers of the network is working. This right here isn't correct. Time lock weight of the mechanism isn't implemented. Okay, so mechanism of quality. So that, as I've mentioned before, it appears that the mechanism of quality is working. The nodes do care about supporting network. They do solve problems as of right now. The token has almost zero control of the entity, though. It is loosely tied, as I mentioned, because the nodes wanted to have value, but it's not used for governance. The token is not a vote. It is not governance. It is not a control. So therefore, they can just use it as a simple income and just sell it right away, but they do want the token to have value, and they might want the token to go up in value as it's coming in. So they might want to upgrade the system there. So that's where the incentives. So it's a loose control, but it's not like total control. So I put that as neutral. As regarding the high quality actions, we have seen that demonstrated, so I put that as green. Technical groups selected by representatives. So once again, the nodes are it's inherent in the nodes to be technical entities. All right. Regarding the team, Sam William is the CEO, and he's a PhD, or he was pursuing a PhD in computer science, and he dropped out about it, and it was in distributed systems and multi-kernel, multi-threaded architecture. So he has a computer background, so these people are relevant. And so I put a strong CEO score because they carried this thing to $1 billion entity, and it did get serviced by Solana and some of those entities. So the team is trustworthy in that sense. And they have strategic backers like Andreessen Horowitz. So these are strategic backers, major investors, and that's probably why you hear about this project from some of the major channels, because they pay for that promotional work, because it has major investors. So that could be bullish because it has a lot of major investors, and those major investors want to make money, so they're going to advertise to crypto people trying to get them to buy it. All right, regarding these other things, high value upgrades, developer motivation and value services provided to increase. I put them all as neutral. Developer experience, I think it should be good because they have REST APIs and for developers and all those things built out. There's a lot of neutral things, so I don't think there's a moat. I think that there is a possibility for a moat, but that would be like if they already won like a bunch of different blockchains that can intercommunicate, and someone did build that universal UI that can access all the blockchains. That could be a moat in the future, but that would be difficult to attain. So I just put it as neutral. Flywheel, I didn't put that. And head to head, it does have a competition from Filecoin, and Filecoin has been around more. And Filecoin, it has smart contracts, and theoretically you can build this project on top of Filecoin. So I didn't really say it was the best option in the competition. Network effect, I put as neutral. I put user experience as green. Because it's built for clients that won't have an issue there. I put, because of the token model, I put that large business models that demand token to reflect needs, I put as somewhat low. So I don't expect large business entities to want to hoard this token, so to speak. But they could use it for their services. A major onboard, Polygon, Solana, all these entities. So it does have major onboards. Tokens per person to go down, I did put that as a bullish. And so that is those. That's the model, okay? In the model, you could see output neutral response. All right, and so regarding the final summary, low market cap with accomplished CEO, I put no. Early social media, no. Live niche, yes. The pros, major investors and integrations, so it looks to be gaining those integrations that are important for it to reach its mission. Possible index type exposure, so like if one of these blockchains that it integrates with are successful, you might see upside based on that. So it gets you wide spectrum of exposure, which we know indexes are a great way to get exposed to a market such as crypto. And demonstrated willingness to make correct upgrades. So that is good. It seems to be on track to fix the upgrades rather than let them persist. Cons, the token model, I don't like it. Pay upfront, more with hope to save later. So you're paying a bigger amount upfront that might necessarily, I don't see, like many entities might be willing to, hey, like pay more or pay for 10, 20 years to see if that data is useful someday. And if that data becomes useful, then you could establish permanence. So I think that might shrink the market size. The fact that you're paying a large amount up front in hopes of an ROI in the long term. A lot of these businesses, specifically startups, they don't want to really do that. Large market cap. It is a large market cap, so that's another con. And no moat. I think that blockchains could build out their own data storage solutions, like Sato or by integrating into Sato or making their own marketplace for persistence. I could see blockchains just integrating that into themselves. And also, it's yet to see if we will have this multi-architecture, winning of the systems, and we'll have to see how that pans out. So that's more unknown. All right, guys, so that is the model review of Arweave. I will go into my Patreon exclusive next, but hopefully I bring the most unbiased, accurate information to the market possible. That was Arweave, and that was my model's review of Arweave.